I want to make it clear to everyone in Boston that we're still in the middle of a winter storm of historic proportions here in the city of Boston. We're doing everything we can to dig out and stay on top of this storm, but we certainly need everyone's cooperation out there. And I'd like to thank all the residents of Boston, for the most part, staying off the roads today and listening to the reports that have been put out by the media all morning. I want to stress to the residents of Boston, this is a very severe storm, and it's as severe as the forecast said it was. And Boston is bearing the brunt of this storm. We received over about 2 feet of snow to this point. We're expecting the snow to continue till 1 a.m. with accumulations through 4 a.m. in the morning. The National Weather Service has a blizzard warning, and it will remain in effect in the city of Boston until 1 a.m. Coastal flooding warnings will remain in effect until 8 p.m. tonight. The state-ordered travel ban remains in effect in the city of Boston. In the city of Boston, snow emergency remains in effect, as does the parking ban, will remain in effect until at some point tomorrow when we decide when it's safe to be able to travel out in the city of Boston. Tomorrow, City Hall will be closed for anyone except for emergency personnel. And part of that reason is to keep the roads clear as we go out and continue to battle this storm. In other words, we're still very much in the middle of this storm here in the city of Boston, and safety concerns remain a very serious concern of all of ours. It's not easy to stay ahead of a storm this size, but we've been able to use all the city resources and the workers to try and do the best we can. Our Emergency Operations Center remains open and will continue to do so as the storm and through the recovery. We still have out in the street right now 700 plows and pieces of equipment out there actively clearing major arteries and secondary roads. We're using snow farms in the Seaport area, in Dorchester, and in Hyde Park. And I ask all the residents of Boston to be patient with us as we get out there. As we went through this morning, we were ahead of the storm pretty well, and then around 11 o'clock, when the storm picked up, our roads got hammered again, particularly the side roads. So we're asking you to be patient with us, and we will get to your roads. The next stage that we're working on is snow removal. And we're working in our priority areas and around schools, and we're holding open the possibility of closing our schools on Thursday, depending on how our progress goes through the night tonight and into tomorrow. As of 3 o'clock today, the Mayor's Hotline has received 1,328 phone calls. We've got 100% answering of those phone calls with under a 30-second average, making sure that people going on in your neighborhoods. Please call 617-635-4500. I'm joined today by the Fire Commissioner and Police Commissioner, and we've continued to keep additional personnel in police, fire, and EMS to make sure that we can handle any calls that come into the city of Boston, and so that we can make sure that anybody that needs help will be able to get the help. The Boston Public Health Commission has reported our shelter facilities were able to remain at an adequate capacity for demands, and our outreach teams continue to identify individuals in need of shelter. And I know that police, fire, and EMS have also picked up homeless folks and made sure they brought them into shelter to make sure that they're safe. If anyone sees anyone out there, please call 911 so we can go out and get them, because the storm is still going on and it's not over. Some of our emergency services are also still remaining very active, but with everyone's cooperation to meet this ongoing challenge, it's not the time for anyone to relax or be complacent, and we're not doing that here in the city of Boston. People should not drive, and if they're not emergency personnel or have an emergency circumstances. So I'm asking you to not drive your car. Some of our streets still aren't plowed as people are going down. I saw myself as I was going through the city today, some people being trapped in the middle of the street because their car couldn't pass it. People should be careful and should not be walking on the streets unless for emergency reasons. We've had reports from snowplow drivers that have had close calls with pedestrians walking in the streets, people wearing hats and headphones and not paying attention to what the circumstances around you. You need to pay attention when you're out in the streets. We've seen a lot of people walking on main arteries, some people skiing on main arteries. Be very, very careful, because the plow can't stop. You're talking about on snow, with some of it's packed in with ice. Be very careful when you're out there. I'm also asking people not to shovel snow into the street. We've had circumstances where we've had plows go down streets, and then we've had people shoveling the snow into the street. I know it's difficult. There's not many places to shovel the snow, but I'm asking you not to put snow back on the street, because it's going to cause a problem for us, both a public safety problem and also an issue with us trying to get plows around the city of Boston and resources in other neighborhoods. We're also asking you, as you're out there shoveling and people are starting to go out shoveling, Please do not forget to shovel your hydrants. Hydrants on the street. If you have a hydrant in front of your house and you know where it is, shovel it out, help us out, because if there's a fire, in the case of a fire, that could save a couple of minutes of the fire department trying to find out where those hydrants are. And also, if you have an elderly neighbor or somebody that's housebound that lives next door to you, we're asking you also not to forget them and to help them with a pathway in front of their house as well to shovel. The City of Boston has issued 26 violations for private plows pushing snow from the driveway into the streets, and we're going to continue to do that. So we're asking you, if you have a plow company that comes in as they're clearing your driveway, that doesn't mean they can take your snow and put it onto the streets. That's causing a safety issue as well. So we're going to be out there watching for that. People should make sure also to continue to clear the snow from exhaust pipes and heating vents. In the case of drier ventilations, make sure you shovel out of that, and also around your cars. Make sure that you clean the exhaust around your cars. We've had one person being treated right now for carbon monoxide in the City of Boston, and we've had no fatalities when it comes to this area, but it's something that's certainly very concerning to all of us here in the City of Boston. Finally, I ask all of the people, when they're following the media, to focus on the reports around the City of Boston and not conditions in other parts of the state. Some parts of the state, particularly Western Mass, did not get hit like we did. New York City did not get hit like we have. We're bearing the brunt of this storm right now, so when you're talking about it, make sure you're very specific about watching the media reports and follow what's going on in the City of Boston, because we are still in the middle of a blizzard. I also ask you, if you have any questions that you're concerned about, please feel free to call 617-635-4500 with any concerns, and dial 911 for any medical or other safety issues, and continue to check on your neighbors that might need the help here in the City of Boston. Finally, I'd just like to say I'm very proud of the work that our team is doing right now in Public Works, Public Safety, Parks, and other departments in the City of Boston. We've had people now working around the clock 24 hours, making sure that we can dig out of this and weather this storm safely, and I'm very proud of the work the city employees have done. I've traveled around to several different yards around the City of Boston today just to thank the employees, and I ask you again to be patient with them. We are doing everything we can to get to every street and every neighborhood in our city, and we will get there, and you can call 4500 if you have any other concerns. If we all pull together, I'm confident that we will get through this storm as a city.